Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode here on, you guessed it, the Sitrep podcast. You don't have to guess it, you're already here. So, that's awesome. Thanks very much for coming by. We've already got a pretty good crowd. I'm actually pretty surprised. We've got a good crowd for a Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. And as I think might be our new standard operating procedure, I have the lovely Miss Jennifer helping me out with some of the comments. So, I've seen some from the Hobby Lodge, from Chris Long. And from, who else do we have on there, Jen? Who else do we have on there, Jen?
Let's see, we've got Chris Long, Hobby
Yep.
Lodge stopped by,
Yep.
Vorpal said
Oh,
hello.
hello, Vorpal. Who else do we got? So we had at least one person saying that was the best RPG.
We've got Joe Ben 76, hi from Sweden.
Oh, wow, from Sweden. Dude, it's like 2 in the morning over there. How you doing? Or 1 in the morning. Thanks very much for coming by.
Crispin B.
Okay.
Hey, Jim.
How you doing? All right, I'm gonna turn down the music just a skosh. Although every time we turn down the music, Jen says every time Jen says turn down the music, it turns out to be not too loud. But you know what? I'm gonna trust her one more time. All right, guys. If the music is now too soft and I can't hear it later on the replay, well, I just turned it down like 20%, Jen. So, all right, guys. We're gonna go ahead and get started here. I'm gonna check out the chat one more time. Yes. Oh wow. Whoa. Cool. Sitrep 6 is with us. Awesome. Thanks very much. Even Chris, I've never played it, but I hear it is fun. The game system. Well, yeah, we'll get into it when we get the stream going to full. When we get the stream going fully. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere I go. Vorpal, you have a lot of snow up by you. Down here, it is just getting to be gorgeous. It's just getting to be absolutely awesome, the weather. Of course, where we live, summer is the miserable time. Robert Todd Russell on Facebook says, agree, the best RPG. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the RPG. I don't have the new re-release yet, but I played the old game many, many times way back in the day. It was one of the most awesome settings for damn sure. And of course, there goes our Twitch stream. Okay, am I missing anybody on Twitch, Jen? Because I just erased our Twitch stream. Okay, cool. Just got a copy of Twilight 2000 4th edition. Okay, cool. So this might be a. It's not like a review of the game, but I can talk a little bit about the background and so on and so forth. I could talk about the old system. I hear the new system has been greatly streamlined. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this kick this pig. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy going here. So I don't want that. I don't want that. I want my stupid camera. Okay, holy crap, that was a pain. Alright, so hopefully you guys are going to be seeing my little sketch pad here. There's a little bit of latency. Oh, Vorpal, you've already looked through some of the book for Twilight 2000 4th edition. I'm assuming that's the newest edition. Yeah, it's a great system to be sure. Or it's a great setting. Whether or not the system is okay, I leave that up to you guys. The only system I ever used with this is like the one from way back in the 80s. Okay, so obviously here's my little sketch pad. Here are my old school drawing tools. Some of you may know I do a fair amount of artwork on the side. I've worked as a graphic designer, and I've done a lot of character sketch work back in the past. So here's some of the old work in my old sketchbook. Let me try and get some of the better ones here. These are really old. These are from like 1997. So some of these aren't the best. They're like super old. There's some science fiction characters in there. One of Jen's favorites. Some slightly more grounded characters. Yeah, these are really old. Let me try to get to some better ones. So yeah, I mean that right there kind of dates that picture. Some World War II stuff. Some American Revolutionary War stuff. That's actually one I'm kind of happy with. Oh, girl, what are you doing? Slow down with your bad self. Some Supernaturals. Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stuff in here. Let me find find some slightly cooler ones. Oh my god, this book's got too much stuff. Yes, I tried to write my own children's book once. You can guess how well that went. Oh my god, where is this stupid thing? Oh, there's another one. Watch out for her. Talk about the wrong woman. You want to be careful when you're around that kind of person. Okay, so yeah, it's fun to do characters for either. Here's a larger sketchbook here. It's fun to do characters for either RPGs, novels, other graphic design projects that I've been put on. This is all original work. Obviously, you can see it's actually in the sketchpad, so this hasn't been touched up by Photoshop or anything crazy like that. In fact, this book's a little water damaged at the bottom, I'm afraid, so that's always a hazard. So if you see any water damage on these photos, I do apologize. Nothing in here is not safe for work or anything like that, although there are some pretty intense characters. So I wanted to show this stuff up front, just to sort of set a baseline. This stuff takes like 15-20 hours. So the sketch that we do today for our Twilight 2000 character is not going to turn out at this level. This one didn't take that long. This one might have been taking about 10 hours. That one was never completed. There we go. A little bit of a tech girl. Although, again, look at the details on her laptop there. Again, that dates the drawing. She still has a friggin' VGA port in her laptop. What's up with that? Girl, get your shit updated. It's 2021. What are you doing? Whoa. Hold on there. Slow down. There's a more normal looking dude. There's a bit more of a combat picture. There's a couple I wanted to actually kind of showcase in here, and now I'm not going to be able to find them, of course. There's a little bit of glare coming off of that. There, that might look a little bit better. So, yeah, the point is, I do plenty of character work for different RPGs, novel characters, you name it. If there's people in it, you know, we do some. I do some of the drawing for it. So we're going to start this kind of thing for Twilight 2000, or for a character that could really work in any Modern Warfare setting. Although I don't know if you'd really call Twilight 2000 a Modern Warfare setting. But yeah, there was one other group picture in here, and now of course I cannot find it. So I guess we're just going to have to go ahead and skip it for now, because this is getting annoying. Yeah, that's another American Revolutionary War character that was in some fiction I wrote for that setting. Good God, a long time ago. Okay, so with all that out of the way, we face the blank sheet of paper. Most terrifying thing in writing and in artwork. We did mess around with some very, very lightweight character drawings earlier in a post-apocalyptic setting. The stuff that we're drawing might wind up looking a little bit more like this. Because again, I don't want the stream to be 15-20 hours. It's only going to be like an hour, maybe an hour and a half tops stream here. So even this stuff here, I doubt we're going to get to this level today. But we're just, you know, we want to stream, we want to try something new, we want to connect it to historical historical, and particularly modern historical wargaming, if at all possible. And yeah, with Twilight 2000, a great RPG, being re-released recently, what better time to kick around some ideas for some Twilight 2000 characters. So how are we doing in the chat, Jen? Is there anything going on? Oh wow, okay. Oh, werewolves. Straight out. Yeah, that wasn't even a tough question. Werewolves. That's not even okay, Vorpal, but you also chose the right one. Absolutely. But yeah, needless to say, I've done all kinds of role-playing games way back in the day. So, you know, it's always fun to, you know, the great thing about drawing your own characters, obviously, is you don't have to go to Google Images and pick up a picture that you saw off the internet. I mean, that's fine for some people. The problem is then you download it, you put it in your character sheet, and before you know it, somebody recognizes it. Oh, that's Dennis Hopper from X movie, or that's Sean Connery from Y movie, or that's, you know, who knows what. Also, yeah, for Sitrep skirmish operators. Sitrep skirmish, you could use this thing for skirmish Sangan, you could use this stuff for HK ops, you could use this stuff, you know, pretty much whatever. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so first of all, what kind of character should we draw? Because, man, guys, we are starting with a blank sheet of paper. So, at least for tonight, I work for you guys. I have a couple ideas up front. We got a couple ideas up front, but whatever you guys, if you guys have something interesting in mind. Okay, so Vorpalbyte says Twilight 2000 4th edition has a lot of maps and playing pieces for the combat. It's like a war game. So Vorpalbyte, refresh my memory. Is the 4th edition the one that just came out recently? Because this game's been kicking around since the mid 1980s. In previous releases, I want to make sure we're talking about the same release. So I'll wait like another 2 minutes or so till we find out what kind of character we're drawing. If not, I'll just go ahead and get started with a generic former U.S. Army. Now he's lost somewhere in southeastern Poland, and Twilight 2000 begins. He's trying to get back to Krakow, as we see in that setting all the time. My Twilight 2000 character is named Bobby Lee. She is a ranger with strong karate skills. Blonde, brunette, or redhead? Vorpalbyte, you tell me. Because if the chat says they want me to draw a female character, you will get zero argument from me, as Jen can probably attest. Okay, cool. 4th edition. Okay, that's the. I just want to make sure 4th edition was the one that we were talking about more recently. Okay, so just for starters, we're going to begin with a more generic kind of a. Get that out of the way. With a more generic kind of a character. Okay, we'll say get an idea of the character in your head first, and this is where you get your idea from your character creation. How about we do my old Twilight 2000 character? Just again, super fast. He was a U.S. Army first lieutenant. He was pretty much running a company, even though that's over his rank, because again, Twilight 2000, the world's gone to hell and gone. All right, let's go ahead and get started with that then. So he'll be in some military gear, again, circa 1995 to 2000. So there'll be no Digicam in this or anything like that. But we're talking about old, like 1990s military gear, which is actually handy because that's what I know more about. And yeah, the guy in his, let's see, first lieutenant, we'll call him in his late 20s. Probably would have been captain already if the world hadn't, shit the bed. Oh no, Sitrep Podcast says, what did I miss? I'm doing KP. We're just getting started. We're talking about Twilight 2000. We're talking about, we're showing some of my previous sketch work, especially as pertains to character creations in RPGs. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. First, what are we going to do? Are we going to do a straight on? We're going to do a 3/4 view. Let's go with a 3/4 view. Oops, sorry about that. That's my headset bouncing off my. That's my headset bouncing off of my my webcam stand. So, oops. Alright, I've never tried to draw on camera before, so y'all are gonna have to just bear with me a skosh. Jen, let me know if this is coming out too light, if any of these pencil work is actually visible. Because I might be drawing too light for the camera to pick up. I tried to fix the white balancing before we started. You know what? That's a little too tall. Let's not make him a big goofy looking egghead. And another reason I kind of went through my sketchbook ahead of time is to just kind of, almost like a disclaimer. I do draw, and the finished product is a lot better than we're probably going to reach here on this live stream. But again, it's like 10 hours of work for even a relatively decent finished drawing. So today we're just going to be sketching, because God knows you guys don't want to sit here all day. Drop your exposure just a hair. I don't know if I can do that on this camera. I can tone down the light a little. Let me try and do that. So there's too much light on the paper? Is that what we're saying? That didn't really help. Whoa! Does that look any better? Hopefully, that's about as good as we can do for the moment. So yeah, it got bright for a second there. I apologize for that. And again, right now these pencil lines are very, very light, so I want them so that they're easily erasable. If you're going to get into trying your own drawing, a couple things. Number one, get a good sketchbook. Strathmore is definitely a good one. There are a couple other brands. I don't have the books in front of me. Pretty much all my sketchbooks are Strathmore's, but there are some other good brands. You'll feel a definite sort of almost a texture to the paper. You don't want perfectly smooth paper like typing paper or copy paper. You want that paper to actually have a little bit of a grain to it, for lack of a better word. This helps tremendously because it gets your pencil lines on there, and when you go to do any of your smudge work or any of your blending, it helps a lot more there too. But if you're trying to draw on perfectly white paper, or I should say perfectly smooth paper. Okay, where the heck is the drawing I started? Jeez, that was annoying. Okay, so we have a head. Start off with a head. As you can see, he's looking to our left, his right, and his head is pointing slightly down. He's a little world weary. He's in the post-apocalypse. All right. Basic proportions. Okay, you have the entirety of the head. The face is a lot smaller than you think. The entire face takes up half the distance of the head. So we are going to we're going to basically take his melon and we're going to carve it in half right off the bat. So that's going to be basically his brow line. Even that's a little too high. I do have a digital tab. I have a lot of digital stuff. I have a lot of digital artwork. Again, I do work as a graphic designer. But for now, we're just doing this old school style just to, something fun to do. People are getting tired of my virtual stuff. Okay, so again, you take the top half of the head and just boom, it's done. You scalp him. You bisect the head laterally, and that's his eye line. Okay, you take that distance and you divide it again. I'll get into what that is, but you don't have to go all the way around for that. Okay, you take that that quarter distance and you divide it again. That's the human head in a nutshell. Eyes, nose, mouth. Okay, and then the entire top is forehead and hair and everything else. So again, he's looking slightly down. So we're going to go ahead and put the eyebrows a little lower than they probably normally would be. Because again, you're kind of looking down at them.
Sitrep 6 says Dawn is very impressed with your art skills.
Oh, I've barely started, but thanks anyway. Oh, we're talking about the previous artwork? Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, I wanted to put that in there because we're not going to get anywhere near that today. That's like 10, 12 hours of work in some of those. I'm sorry, go ahead. It's not nearly as impressive as that Christmas Town, Dawn, I tell you what.
Gear.
What about gear?
Gear was an aspect of Twilight.
Oh, absolutely.
What kind of gear is
He was a tank commander, so actually he was pretty light. When his tank lit up, he lost a lot of his stuff. So as far as like heavy weapons and things like that, he didn't have much. He lost most of his support equipment in the vehicle. Now later, luckily, he was able to get another vehicle, but by then he lost a lot of his stuff. I do remember this. The guy who was running the game for us, his name was Mike. He had terrible handwriting, so he was writing down all of our medical supplies, MREs. Different first aid kits, field dressings, antiseptics, all that stuff's very important in an apocalyptic setting. Trust me. And he wrote down how many units of plasma we had and how many units of whole blood. The problem is his writing was terrible. So I'm looking at our inventory sheet and I'm like, Mike, what the fuck are we doing carrying around 400 units of whale blood? Why do we need that? And everyone got a little bit of a laugh at that. And then he's like, dude, we're not carrying whale blood. That's whole blood. I'm like, well, learn to write, dude, because your writing's disgusting. You don't have a PhD yet, so stop acting like you write like a doctor. A sexy gun, maybe a drone. Did they have drones in the original Twilight 2000? Yeah, whale blood. It was the pitfalls of terrible writing. Now, we did get kind of hollered at earlier for not paying attention to the Facebook chat, so I'm making sure that we're paying attention to the Facebook chat. So the brows are there. Again, he's looking down and to the left, so his eyebrows are a little bit lower. Also, he's kind of pissed off. Again, he lives in Twilight 2000 world, so he's not. Oop, a little bit more actually. Another thing to get if you're going to get into drawing, a good kneaded eraser. And it's useful for hobby because you can do, it's basically blue tack. Or you can do a lot of the same things blue tack does. And at dawn, I don't know if I finished this sentence, there's no way in hell any of that drawing was as impressive as your Christmas Town. Christmas Town was out of control. I saw that on Facebook. I can't hear you, Jen. What? Yeah, Jen says she was most jealous. She thought she went Christmas crazy. I'm like, Jen, I think you've just been toppled. All right, he has like a gigantic nose here. He looks like a rejected stunt double from The Sopranos here. Let me fix this just a smidge. She says thank you. Yay. They had cool RC planes and cars, and they did something that didn't really happen. It's interesting to think, or it's interesting to look back through those old source books, at least the old ones I have, and sort of what's the word here? Reflect on the on what they thought the future was going to be like, because the game originally came out in the 80s, like 1984 or 5. His nose is still too big. And he's got like a Vin Diesel looking face here so far. I don't want that at all. Get that little thing that you've got underneath your, although that space is going to be foreshortened a little bit too.
Why start with eyebrows?
I don't know. You gotta start somewhere. Not that I know of, although a lot of tankers, or at least, I mean, when I was in, I didn't really know that many tankers, but I did know a lot of Amtrak, amphibious assault crewmen and stuff like that. A lot of them got out of their way to get steel-tipped boots, which the normal military boots that when I was in weren't. You could get them, and they were still regulation, but you either had the black Cadillacs, which are now no longer used, and the jungle boots that came out afterwards. Then you get guys like paratroopers have jump boots and so on and so forth. But I don't imagine anyone really what's the word here? I don't know if I can really imagine anyone wearing anything with buckles in a modern formation. I don't think the first sergeant would go for that. So the question is, why start with eyebrows? I just kind of start on the top and I work my way down. The first thing I want to get is everything placed right and make sure everything is straight, so my guidelines are on there first, and so on and so forth. And after that, it's just kind of start at the top. a little too far out there. Forgive me while I mumble to myself. Actually, I'm drawing that completely backwards, aren't I?
Apparently, Sitrep 6 build is expecting Kickstarter for this any day.
Cool. Yeah, I've got a lot of the old books still on PDF. Oh, I'm sorry. Sitrep 6 says that he's expecting the Kickstarter for this any day. Sorry, guys, I'm vacillating a lot on the eye here.
Sitrep 6 says we might gen up.
Yeah, we should one of these days. You're right.
Producer, Bunker Hill Gen closer. Keeping up with the revolution. Does not have good.
What's wrong with Bunker Hill? Well, technically. Alright, before I get too deep into the eye, we're going to just finish up where everything is placed. And then we're going to switch to another pencil for the more detailed work. Alright, so the basics are put. Now where the nose although it's still not exactly on there in the right position. Alright, where the nose begins and where the nose ends, pretty much the top and bottom of your nose describes where your ear is and about how large it is. So some people get big Dumbo ears, people tend to forget how big the nose actually is. Or, they put it in the wrong spot. And again, right now we're just kind of trying to place it. Alright, so now let's go ahead and get this guy started a little bit more. Not entirely happy with everything where it is. So give me a second to just work on a few things. The great thing about a kneaded eraser, you can kind of shape it however you want and get in there for more precise drawing work. And it doesn't usually damage your paper as much. Also, I'm having a hard time looking down at the paper through this webcam. The webcam's like right over my head. This whole idea might be a little bit harder than I... than I originally envisioned. Oh, he's absolutely right. Right now, in fact, I was just thinking he's starting to look a little bit too runaway. I'm gonna have to rough this guy up a little bit.
He's definitely cheeky right now.
We'll fix that. Trust me. He's still got that big ass Vin Diesel nose, though. I don't like that at all. Come on, dude. Uh-oh.
Sitrep 6 suggests we use a drone camera and let me fly it.
Why are you trying to destroy my house? First of all, why am I giving him a woman's nose? Stop struggling with the nose, dumbass. So, of people in the chat, obviously some people have. I know Chris Long, it sounds like he has. How many people have played Twilight 2000 back in the day? Or the new modern one? Or I should say the more modern release. When I heard they were going to redo Twilight 2000, I won't lie, I was definitely a little skeptical. Because, I was like, dude, Twilight 2000. 2000's long behind us, obviously. And, you know, are they going to try it again? Are they going to set it like in the year 2030 this time? Obviously, the war has to be totally different because the Soviet Union has fallen or whatever. But no, they just basically just rebooted it. They kept the old setting and they kind of rebranded it as a war that never was. They basically took the Team Yankee excuse. They kind of punted, which is cool. I mean, you're definitely going to get the nostalgia factor for that. Oh God, did I finally get it? I know I've tried his nose like 16 times by now. Ugh. It is a thing about patience, man. I'll tell you what, it is not, you know, a whole lot of, you know, oh, he's so talented, or it's patience. Because you're going to do it over and over and over and over again. How about we give him a little cleft in his chin? Or that eye was not quite in the right place, so we moved it over. Now it's just a little crooked. Again, I can't see over this stupid webcam. So if this huge shadow is now going to be falling, like you can see my glasses there a little bit. Alright, I think we're getting a little bit closer. Alright. Again, with the center line of the skull, let's put in a quick, you know, or at least sketch out where the hairline's going to go. Flat top. Okay. I said we're gonna do what the stream wants. Duck Dynasty. Oh God. We will give him some facial hair though. This is the 90s, back before the military thought it was cool to grow a beard. I don't know what the hell's going on with that lately, but that's way after my time. However, in the post-apocalyptic world of Twilight 2000, yeah, no one's going to be standing tall in front of a battalion commander's inspection every day. So, are we serious about the flat top? All right, I'll do it. Flat top has to kind of start with a bit of a high and tight, though. Oh man, I've never done a... Now I gotta put the skull back. Damn it, Sitrep 6. I'm under enough stress here.
Now Sitrep is switched to maybe a mohawk.
No, I'm not doing it. No, I'm already mad at you for making me do a flat top, to be honest. God, he's looking like Grace Jones at this point. Also, my guy did not have a mohawk. Or, yeah. Where was that center line again? Actually, I'll take it back. That's actually not too bad. How about we give him some big Marty mutton chops? I don't know, let's not do that. Except the back's not really right. Big thick neck boy. So we got comments in the chat about airborne rangers and their mohawks. That's deep cut. That goes all the way back to D-Day. Was that the only time they ever wore? That's the only time I've ever seen them wear that, but I'm sure it's not the only time. Those regiments spotted some kind of a mohawk. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I've got a bunch of different mechanical pencils here. Usually when I'm just trying to hammer it out, his forehead is way too big. Dude, what the heck? Alright guys, I'm going to try and basically take the whole top of his head and move it down a little. Give me a second, this is going to take a few minutes. Trying to run a stream, keep conversation. Draw when you have to look at the whole page, like from the side, because your webcam's in the way. Oh, cool. Yeah, those are the famous Mohawk photos. I'm sure there were times when there were lots of other times besides just those famous ones. Bella would. That would surprise me. Them behind tights. But then again, anything's possible. I'm not gonna say. I mean, I wasn't there. But Marines were pretty locked and cocked, you know, back in the day. Now his ear's too far off. Yeah. Okay.
It's fine. The stream is still going.
All right, guys. It sounds like we may be having some problems with. I'm sorry. Twitch is no good, and what's the other one?
Twitch and Facebook, they just came back up. YouTube is fine. The stream never dropped. It was just
Okay. Tell you what, it's really getting tough. I'm really. Oh, Warple Blight's still making fun of me. Ew, he's a tank man. He has maps and code books. Yeah, that don't do much good anymore. Not in the world of Twilight 2000. Not once you get that.
Orville Lights did make a neat comment. If it's the 90s, he would have design shaped in his hair.
Yeah, that's true. Those little graphic designs that used to buzz cut into the side of their head, little lightning bolts and stuff like that. All right, so hopefully the major surgery is complete. We're going to go ahead and sync now into some slightly more detailed stuff. So I'm switching over. Again, when you get mechanical pencils, you're going to get basically two sizes, 0.7 millimeter and 0.5 millimeter. I usually get started in 0.5. I'm sorry, in 0.7 for the big stuff, just while I kind of try to plan out where everything's going to be. And then once it's sort of set, I go back in with my 0.5. Usually number 2, number 1.5, as far as the density of the graphite, and we go from there. So the first thing I do is I take my little kneaded eraser, roll it in a nice little round sphere, and then just kind of gently go over one of the sections to kind of lighten it up. And then I can get in here and actually start some work. I'm keeping his eye very, very narrow, very suspicious. He's not terribly trustworthy, and he sure as shit doesn't trust you. Guys do have eyelashes, so don't forget those. Of course, they're not going to be nearly as pronounced as as most women's eyelash, but you don't want to forget they're there. One thing that a lot of people tend to forget is to leave space for the eyelid. Eyelids are always a thing, especially when he is, again, kind of staring through his eyebrows. God, this is rough. But again, we're just going to do a rough stream today, guys. A rough sketch today, I should say. Actually, no. Why do I keep giving him a smile? He got nothing to smile about. He lives in Twilight 2000. So, although you do want to obviously sketch out the lines and know where the lips on the mouth are, when you're going back in here, you're just kind of figuring it out. One thing you may not want to do is actually fully define it. because then he's gonna look like, you know, he's wearing like makeup or something. This is a mess, this other eye over here. Fortunately, you don't see it very much. Sorry if the eraser is shaking the table at all. Make up your mind, dude. Of course, you want to make sure both eyeballs are looking in the right direction. You don't want to give them a lazy eye or anything like that. So you might be a little too far over for that. Am I too far up? Is that part of my problem? Again, jawline is another thing that you definitely want sort of well defined earlier in the process, and then afterwards you may want to fade it out a little bit. Very few people's jawline visibly goes all the way back to the bottom of their ear. And if they do, give that boy a steak sandwich or something, because for the post-apocalypse, with, you know, food is a scarcity, it might make sense. I don't know, man. Ear necklace is kind of an important commodity. He's definitely seen better days. Before I started stuff like that, I probably should have done some more shadow work. So shadow work is kind of basic stuff. Can I zoom this in at all? Not really. Also, some of the dimensions, proportions still aren't 100% right. I think his head changed size like halfway through the process, and now I've been struggling with the proportions ever since. Anything on Facebook yet?
No, Sitrep's got Restream on, so I can.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I would be using Restream. Right now I can't look at any monitor, really, because, again, what my monitor is showing on my laptop is what's actually on the stream. Hold on, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to do this hairline over from scratch. The
Yeah,
mod.
sounds like we need to have a Twilight 2000.
That would work. So, yeah, for those of you who might not be aware or might not remember, Twilight 2000 was a great role-playing game designed by originally GDW back in the day. Again, I think it was mid-1980s, like 85. I was playing it in 87, later than that. I was playing it in 88, 89, but it had already been out a fair amount before then, so maybe it was like 87. I don't know. I keep vacillating what I want to do with this hair. And I keep making it worse. Ugh. So good. How did that start? This is back in again, I think the mid to late 80s when this game originally came out. So yeah, when the year 2000 was obviously the far and unknowable distant future when anything could happen and people were afraid of a lot of different stuff. Rightfully so, man. People who have like a lot of fond nostalgia of the 80s didn't fucking live through it, man. Let me tell you. The 80s were not all that. Or at least not, nothing but Stranger Things and, fun kid on bikes and chasing after ET and stuff like that. The 80s were AIDS with a fucking president who wouldn't even mention the name of the fucking disease. As tens of thousands of his citizens are dying of it. He just wanted to ignore the issue. The absolute destruction of our economy. I mean, it was going great at the time. Most of the problems that we have with our economy today draw a direct route right back to the 1980s. And, freaking wars in Afghanistan the day after, we were going to get nuked almost every day. People who think that the Cuban Missile Crisis was the height of the Cold War, man, y'all have to read some books, man. 1983, it's rough. Cowboy Reagan threatening to nuke everybody, and the Russians were listening. That was the scary part. I mean, everything turned out great, and the 80s turned out to be an amazing decade, but we did not know that at the time. Those of you who are old enough to remember, I was in the military during the 1980s. Let me tell you something, man. People were scared. I'm drawing his hair, and I still haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to do with the rest of his skull. He's getting there. I'm going for a generally pissed off dude, or at least, I'm not having a good day. Because again, he lives in Twilight 2000. I think I wound up, when I keep shrinking his head, I think I now made his face a little too big. But let me see, I have a little bit of forgiveness in the hairline. So I might be able to save it. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I keep getting off topic there. So Twilight 2000, the game was set in the year 2000, predictably, when that was like, oh my god, I can't imagine what the world is even going to look like in the year 2000. The basics of the background are, I can't remember exactly how it starts, but something really kicks off in Mongolia between the Russians and the Chinese, and it turns into a major problem, like really fast. Basically, World War III starts out there. It's not that whole NATO versus Warsaw Pact Team Yankee thing. And it spills over into other countries. It causes problems with the U.S. And before you know it, it does kick off in Europe. It just doesn't start there. And the balloon goes up from there. The war starts in 1995. World War III officially starts. And back when our global population was about 4 billion people, I remember the line from the original book. By the time we get to the year 2000, 2 billion people, 2 billion lives have been swept away. Is the actual line right out of the book. I don't know if it's still there. If it's still there in the 4th edition. So yeah, they kill a lot of people. People start nuking each other, although it's more obviously limited at first. There's never a complete, threads or the day after full-scale exchange. That would literally just end the whole show. What I liked about Twilight 2000 was it was a different kind of apocalypse. The world didn't blow up in an afternoon, like it does in like a comet movie or again the day after kind of the situation. It was a little more subtle than that, and it kind of dealt with the idea that you do enough damage to the underlying things that we tend to take for granted. And again, this is way before the internet or anything crazy like that. And you're going to, it doesn't take much before the hospitals stop working, before the supermarkets just don't have food anymore, before sewage breaks down, before clean water stops pumping into the cities. It doesn't take much. And when stuff like that is happening at home, you think the militaries in the field are going to hang around for that bullshit? And it literally just falls apart a piece at a time. Civilization doesn't annihilate, it unravels. So there's still people around. I mean, you need people for a role-playing game. It's not like, Mad Max or the Road Warrior or anything like that. There's still people running around. It just, there aren't as many as there used to be, and there are basically no governments. It's basically militarized anarchy. The whole world was in the middle of a world war, basically, World War III. And then all the governments just kind of, collapsed under their own weight, their own inability to, too much infrastructure damage, and they can no longer sustain anything. So this is not the best drawing I've done, I'm not even going to lie. But
They changed the timeline, 4th edition.
Oh, they did change the timeline?
War history is the same until 1997.
Oh, okay, so the war starts the same but doesn't end the same. I'm curious to see what kind of changes they might have made. So a lot of what I'm saying might just be out of date. Oh man, my fingers are filthy. Look at this. Oh, it's no longer a Chinese thing. Okay. So they did change some things in the timeline. Okay. Maybe they want to sell the book in China, so they don't want to have the Chinese. Oh god, yeah. We had a 64. You know what? One of the reasons I'm having a problem with this is I'm not looking at the paper right because of this webcam in my way. And then I look at the camera and my damn notepad is too far, or my sketchpad is too far up anyway, so you guys can't really see what's going on. And basically I'm making this hard on myself for no reason. Sorry about that. So we had a Commodore 1. We started off with a 64. We ended up with a 128 later. So for shadow work, you can see I went back to my 0.7.
Bill says he still uses his C64.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, he totally still has all that stuff.
Horrible Bite says in the Twilight 2000 timeline, Israel is abandoned by the U.S. and uses nukes on the Arabians, the Arabs. It escalates from there. Russia invades Poland. This time, French and Italy fight on the side of NATO.
Okay, yeah, because France stayed out of the war in the original book. And that was that was part of the lead up to their Traveler 2300 series. So, Twilight 2000 takes place in the year 2020. Traveler and Traveler 2300 take place in the 2300s. And in that universe, France is one of the world's only remaining hyperpowers. France is the most powerful nation on Earth, or one of the most powerful nations on Earth, because they largely stayed out of World War III. And 300 years later, it kind of shows. All right, so I'm gonna just do some very, very basic shoulder work here. So do you still start off in Poland, in Kalitz, and you have to get to Krakow? That's kind of your first mission. I guess it depends on what module you play or what adventure you set up. But I remember that was basically like the basic book.
Vorpal Bite says 4th edition allows you to play the traditional Poland campaign,
Okay.
but also includes a new Sweden campaign.
Sweden. We had a guy from Sweden in our stream earlier tonight.
And then Crispin Vasquez says dual tacos.
Dual tacos. There's a thing going on about tacos. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what the hell people are talking about. There's a joke going on about tacos that I am not in the loop on. I feel very ill-informed. There's a joke I am missing.
Sitrep 6 says he cheats.
Oh yeah? What do you mean cheat?
He gets a pick offline and puts a pencil app to change it.
Oh. Okay. Well, to be completely fair, once something like this would get done, this is stage 1. So, I mean, hopefully he's starting to take some kind of shape now. But this is kind of stage 1. And when I get everything kind of where I want it, and I'm like, it's got the generally the right shape, like I'm still not terribly happy with this. And now my eraser's shit in the bed a little bit.
Let's see. Bill made a comment. Warfare on skis and moose. Chris Long is back in the chat. He said he concurs. You can start in Sweden and Poland. They are about to start in Poland.
Oh, cool. So good luck getting to Krakow. I think you start off with 5th U.S. Infantry Division in Kalitz. At least that was the old story. Again, I'm sure, from what I hear, some things have changed. So I don't want to give out any bum scoop.
I like the scar.
Oh, cool. Oh, so what I was saying is that this would just be step 1. Once I get everything kind of where I like it, and like, okay, I'm done moving things around, I'm done resizing and reshaping things and so on and so forth. Then you go on the back of the paper, you scribble all over the back, you put it on a clean sheet of paper, and you pen over it with a rollerball pen. And that allows you to get all of your lines onto a clean sheet of paper, minus all the eraser marks, minus any imperfections that you may have sort of dug into the paper or anything like that. And then you do the final sketch there. Now that all the planning and the reworking and the decisions and the sketch work basically is done. And then if you're serious about it, then you scan it and put it in Photoshop. And that's where the magic really happens. And I'm not talking about like filters. You basically do the sketch a third time. You basically redraw it in Photoshop using your paper, your pen and pencil sketch as a guide. And before you ask, why don't you just start with that? Drawing in Photoshop is not easy. Changing a photo that you have is easy. Go ahead, Jen.
Chris Long was saying he started playing Twilight 2000 in 1984 as a kid.
Wow.
It was the best gift his dad ever gave him.
It's that long? Okay, I was doing it in. I'm sorry, you guys probably can't hear Jen too well. So Chris Long was playing this game as early as 1984. I didn't realize it was out that early. But then again, I didn't really discover it until 80. I think it was 88. And but I did know that it had already been out for a little bit of while before that.
Orbital Bite says yes, it's still an open sandbox game.
Cool. Yeah, it's always been that way. Although I think the base scenario started off like, here's your beginning scenario. You don't have to start here, but that's kind of like what we're.
Rasmus says hello.
Hey Rasmus, how you doing?
And Chris Long asks, did he miss something? Are we going to be playing?
I would not be adverse to it. We've run modern RPGs in the past. We've done it. We did HK Ops. I don't know how. I'd have to get a hold of the new book, the new PDF or whatever, and take a look at it before I could make any kind of decision about how easy it would be to play the new Twilight 2000 virtually. The old 1980s Twilight 2000, no. Let me go ahead and help you out there. No. Ain't no way. That game was kind of a pain in the ass to play. Go ahead.
Sitrep podcast says, sounds like we need to do a campaign. And then he adds, yep, he started in 1984 as well.
Okay. I knew it was around that late. Damn it, I can't. So Sitrep 6 is talking about starting as well in 1984, and we're also talking. I know the people can't hear through my microphone too well, probably. And I'm answering questions that. So Sitrep 6, yeah, I would have to just get a hold of the book. I have changed my mind too many times on where this is going, and kind of ruined it.
Let's see. Sitrep podcast says he can get you a PDF.
Yeah, I would have to take. So Sitrep podcast is talking about getting a PDF. So that would definitely work for virtual online play if that's something that people were kind of interested in. We'd have to figure out a way to do it. Would the original game work in a virtual setting? Obviously, I didn't try it back in the 80s. As a virtual game, I don't think it would. That game was a little too big for its britches in a lot of ways. It was a GDW game, so it's gonna have. It was a little chunky, and that was kind of the era of games that are a little bit too crunchy, even for people who like crunchy games. The big computer revolution hadn't really happened yet, or was in gaming. It was in progress. Let me go ahead before I say something really stupid. It hadn't really caught on yet. It definitely wasn't universal.
Light says, yeah, he never liked first edition.
It was too big. I tell a story, and so stop me if I've told the story before. we were actually playing at my dad's house. Again, this is way back in the day, and the game master was like describing the situation. We're driving through a village, a small Polish town on the way to Kalitz. This guy's in front in his M1A2 Abrams, and sorry, M1A1 Abrams. The M1A2 in Twilight 2000 is something radically different. In Twilight 2000, the old one, the M1A2, still had that small remote turret and only like a 3-man crew. So I don't know if that's still the same way in 4th edition. But anyway, we're driving through in the M1A1, I should say, and someone sends a friggin' rocket or a burst of machine gun at us or something from outside this little building. And I say, okay, the loader's battle carrying Willie Pete in the breach. So slew the turret over, put a round in the building, and of 120 millimeter white phosphorus. Okay. The game master sort of breaks out his calculator, a whole legal pad of numbers, and a bunch of dice, and he's gonna start crunching this out. And I said, you know what? We're at a stopping point anyway. We're gonna head up the street to Subway. We're gonna get everyone lunch. So we get in the car. We drive. I lived out in the middle of nowhere too. We drove like 7 miles to the corner Subway, got a bunch of sandwiches, stood in line, waited for them to make it. Again, we ordered like 6 or 7 sandwiches, and then come all the way back, and we've been gone a good 40 minutes. He's still trying to figure out what happened when that shell hit the building. That was the old Twilight 2000. I'm not trying to talk about the game. Would the new one do better than that? I certainly hope so. I hear from people who have looked at it and tried it that they kind of slimmed the game system down a little bit, the actual mechanics of the game. I don't know if that's everyone's sort of impression of it so far. Go ahead, John.
Chris Long made a comment earlier. Hold on. There's a.
So Chris Long was saying earlier.
Yeah, go back up. He says there's a new one. There's a lot of sponsored fan content. 4th edition already on Drive-Thru RPG. He says being a GM, these rules are way easier to run, less crunchy.
Good. All right, so we're hearing that encounters are easier to run. The game system's a lot less crunchy, and it's a lot easier to be a storyteller or to be a game master in the new system. So that's cool. So right now, again, this was just supposed to be a sketch.
It slimmed down a lot. His friend Frank Bay, who wrote the original module Black Madonna, is writing the new version for 4th edition.
I remember that module. So it says that the guy who wrote the original module, Black Madonna, is running the new one. That game, that particular module, also explored some pretty neat ideas about how religion works. If I'm thinking of the same story, I'm pretty sure I am. How religion works in the post-apocalypse. So the Black Madonna, if I'm not mistaken, literally is an actual statue of the Virgin Mary in one of those like Catholic Polish towns. Am I completely off? I hope I'm not. That's the version of the story I remember. But again, everything I know about Twilight 2000 is admittedly very old. So I'm not going to get into his gear and everything else like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? We just wanted to kind of make this a quick little stream. We were talking about maybe an hour and a half runtime. We're coming up on, after we finally got started, we've been up an hour and 20 minutes, but some of that was, waiting for people to show up, etc. Jen, just to make sure we don't piss off the Facebook people again, anything on Facebook?
It's still streaming.
Oh, okay. It's still restreaming.
Chris Long says he has to run. He's on coffee break. Drawing is looking good.
Oh, cool, thanks. Thank you for the kind words. I'm not 100% sure I agree with you. But
Earlier, I missed this. Sitrep podcast, Sitrep 6 was saying he had an RPG group that played
Wow, that's a lot. So Sitrep 6 is talking about all the games that his old group used to play. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a lot. Indiana Jones, the old D&D systems, Twilight 2000. So for now, he's just in like a little skivvy shirt. Notice his dog tag, singular. There's only one dog tag there. He's not one of these goofballs who walks around with both friggin' dog tags around his neck. The reason they give you two, folks, you're supposed to put one in your boot. It's okay to wear two if you're just on the, around garrison, around base. But from what I was always told, when you're in the shit, so to speak, and it's things are getting real, that second one goes in your boot. Then again, I doubt the Graves registration unit is doing very much work in the world of Twilight 2000. Yep. Oh, I thought it was a statue, but okay. Yeah, it's a very important. So we're talking about the Black Madonna. White's talking about it. Kind of confirms that I was on the right track on the story. Sounds like I got a couple of details wrong. Cool. Yeah, it's a neat thing. I mean, when the apocalypse comes, religion often kind of gets carried away afterwards, where people will fight very, or do some very crazy stuff for some very strange reasons. They need someone to blame. They need something to hang their hopes on. It kind of makes sense when you think about it. People who have survived a given holocaust of some type or another, natural, man-made, whatever, tend to see themselves as some kind of chosen one or chosen people. God selected us to survive for a reason. That could be a bad thing. If you get into like all this revelation stuff and you're left behind, you're one of the people that has survived. That's a bad thing because it means that you weren't ready yet. Again, this is not my personal beliefs or views or opinions. Just some of the things that you see in, I don't want to say like apocalyptic psychology, but stuff like that. One of the things that I always used to like about Twilight 2000 was the supply problem. Obviously, supply is a thing now, and it is, you can't just go back to S4 and get more, more fuel or more food or whatever. There's no more MREs coming from your friendly 3061 subsistence provisions specialist. So actually keeping fuel in your tanks. I remember trying to run an M1 Abrams with that turbine on methane, and it wasn't easy, man. The game was definitely not very happy about that. I don't know if the new edition kind of still has that level of detail in it. I kind of hope it does. Whenever it comes to any kind of a game, it's going to be tough to balance, detail with playability. So just a suggestion of some sort of camo pattern on here. We're not going to get into the whole production of it, obviously.
Let's see. Sitrep 6 says looking good. Rasmus says put resource management to the forefront.
Oh, totally. Yeah, so Rasmus is talking about resource management being in the forefront of Twilight 2000. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Sitrep 6 says looking good. Again, I appreciate the kind words.
Oh, and then
It is, man. I tell you what. Actually, it's how are you going to fight a war or try to survive when there is no supply guy? This is when you realize, oh God, I shouldn't have made fun of the supply guy all that time. Because now that I really miss him, because all my tanks just sputtered to a standstill. I have no ammunition in my saw. Oh my God, look at this smudging. Jeez. What a mess. You know what I need? I need a, give me 1 second, guys.
That Twilight says the edition is much stricter than players started. No stockpile of supplies allowed, no gasoline.
Yeah, so Warp Buddy's talking about how the new edition is much more strict about the kind of equipment that you get to start with. I remember it was kind of up to the party. You weren't allowed to start off with a warehouse. So the way the old one was, at least that whole Poland and Kalitz thing. Oh yeah, his lip was all screwed up. Hopefully it looks a little bit better now. Yeah, it looks a little bit better now. Again, he's not supposed to be a pretty guy here, but the way it kind of the way it kind of went in the old one is, at least with that Poland base scenario, you were with 5th Infantry, and pushing through southern Poland. You were in a town called Kalitz, and then you got counterattacked in the middle of the night, and or there was a sabotage attack. They left it deliberately ambiguous. Like half the division, what was left of the division, division's probably like 500 guys by that point, but half the division blew up in the middle of the night, and then headquarters got overrun, and you didn't really know if it was the Soviets, because the Soviets are in bad a shape as you are, if it was another Warsaw Pact power, local warlords, marauders, who knows what. Somebody overran divisional headquarters, and then you got this radio message from the divisional commander, and it was basically, good luck, you're on your own, is the exact quote. And so it was not like you knew that this event was coming. You knew the war was going on. It's been going on for 5 years. But you, again, in the old timeline, sounds like the new timeline's been changed a little bit. Let's give him one more scar. Ooh, I know what to do.
Sitrep podcast ads reminds me of Heartbreak Ridge. Quote, where are you from? Supply, sir? Were you good at it? Yes, sir. Then go back there. I need a Marine who kicks ass.
Well, that was sort of that was the PG version of that line. So I appreciate that we didn't go the full exact quote of that. I like a lot of contrast in my drawings. So usually when I'm done, I go back to my deepest corners and I really kind of blast them with some nice soft erasers. Ooh, I know what to do. Give him some worry lines. He's got a lot to worry about. I keep putting him in front of camera. Yeah, you guys can make fun of supply all you want. It doesn't bother me. Because you're going to play Twilight 2000 and you're going to realize how important all that shit is. That's like literally the point of the game. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and hold this up a little bit and refocus. So it's a little screwed up at the moment. I'm still not entirely happy with the angle of that mouth. He's supposed to be smirking, but or kind of like kind of have a sideways kind of a smile there, but not smile, grimace. It didn't really work. I'm gonna have to go back and fix that. But yeah, super basic sketch. This thing is nowhere near ready, especially since I can't get an honest, straight look at the damn picture. Did I just make it better or worse? Oh, I'm totally out of focus. I'll tell you that for free. I think that may have fixed it a little bit.
That they were allowed to start with.
Oh.
The added, they were also limited ammunition. Rasmus added in stuff like that should really be GM's choice. Purple Bite says makes no difference to him. Twilight 2000 characters are like popcorn.
Oh, like disposable? Okay, so we have a discussion between Rasmus and Vorpalbite in the chat. They're talking about supply levels, whether or not that should be dictated by the game or whether or not it should be GM choice. So our party, we had a big group. We had like 8 guys in our group. So I think our game master was a little overloaded on top of the, at the time, rather cumbersome system. Or not cumbersome, just very detailed system. So we started off, again, like I was mentioning before, I started off with the friggin' M1A1 Abrams. I mean, how many people in Twilight 2000 should start with that? And when I say I started, I mean 4 characters. It takes 4 characters to run a vehicle like that. We had, each of us ran like 2 characters, and there were like 8 people in the group. We had a friggin' platoon, man. We had like 16 people running around, and like 4 or 5 vehicles, and we were just like lomping on people. So I think, yeah, in that way, the game got a little bit away from them. So as far as what kind of supply, what kind of weapons and gear you should start with, I don't know how the new system handles it. It was kind of up to you in the old system, but I know for a fact supplies were definitely limited, because again, you didn't know that this final collapse of 5th Infantry was happening. You were kind of in the middle of a battle, so you were already using up a lot of your ammunition, your fuel, things like that, and then this happened. And so you had to kind of start your own way home, your new life, your whatever it is your characters were going to try and do from there. And it was not easy, because you were already in kind of pitched battle with I guess what was left of the Soviets. And then this happened, and you did not have any time for, oh, let me go back to, oh, we're on our own now. Well, let me head back to S4 and stock up on a few things. Hell no, dude. You were stuck with what you had at the moment, and it wasn't much. I remember that for damn sure.
Regarding the out of focus, Sitrep 6 said, "Geez, I thought I was drunk."
I'm not drunk yet. So yeah, about the out of focus. Sitrep 6 was saying, "Geez, I thought I was drunk." Yeah, sorry. I had to kind of catch that up a little bit. And I'm doing this in the wrong grain. Cause stupid. Let's make his 5 o'clock shadow not quite as chic and Don Johnson as it was before. Alright, so we got most of the lines kind of fixed. There's still some problems with those 3 main lines I started off the video with. But for an hour and 5 minutes of work, that is a beginning character. Okay, guys, take it easy, everybody. This has been another edition of the Sitrep podcast. Thanks for coming out to our live stream. Hope you kind of enjoyed it. I know it was kind of unusual, and we didn't get the best results on the sketchbook, but it's okay. But for now, we're taking off. We got a lot of stuff coming out for you this weekend and then into the week that follows. So we'll be in touch very soon, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care, everybody.